Welcome to the Iconics Genesis 64 video guide. This video discusses how to create three-dimensional objects in GraphWorX64 to simulate real production models, how to use the location dynamic in three-dimensional space, as well as how to use the collision detection feature to trigger a variety of actions.
GraphWorX64 collision detection. GraphWorX64 is capable of detecting the collision of two or more objects in a 3D world. For this simple example, let's first create a 3D view inside our GraphWorX display. Inside this 3D view, let's create a sphere which we will call being the moving ball. So this moving ball will collide against something inside my 3D world. The thing it will collide to will be a wall. So we create a cube, rename it into wall, scale it down a little bit so that it looks more realistic, and let us give it a different material so that it looks very nice. So you can go to image and select from a great amount of different images. Now Bricks Multicolor will do exactly what we need for now. So you can see the wall looks like and how our ball looks like. Now these balls, in order to collide with the wall, needs to be animated. So we select the ball, go to Dynamics, select Location Dynamic, and connect that to a data source. Data source for our example would be a simulation tag, which we want to have full control. So we create a new one, being a slider. And you can see in the shadow here that it will collide with the wall anyway. So I want to control that specific data source, so I need to create a slider outside my 3D world to control that OPC tag. So I create a rectangle, give it the location dynamic, link it to the same OPC tag, slider, and from a dynamic behavior, I need to select slider to true and then the data right to make it a continuous right. Only thing that is missing is the end position of my slider. So now we go into runtime. We can see that we have full control of the ball by moving our slider. Now let's go to the collision detection. Inside the 3D world, you select the objects you want to have controlled by the collision detection. So you select them, and in the collision detection you say include, and then you can go to settings, and you will see here listed the bodies or objects which will be controlled by the collision detection. Now, if we only have these two, we can say include all. It will create the pairs of all the objects I have here. Now, what does the collision detection do in GraphWorX64? Well, it triggers mainly three events from here. It triggers a gen event on collision start. It can trigger a script on collision start, and it can trigger a change of colors whenever the collision starts. So let's make a color change into red, for example. And when the collision ends, you can also say to have a gen event to trigger a script and change color. So for our example, let's just create a gen event and change the color. Whenever the collision ends, it will go back to its original color. I'm going to close. Then we can go into runtime and see how the object changes colors whenever the collision starts, and it returns to its original colors when the collision ends. See it from the front, hits, and then it goes back. Now let's have a look at the gen events that get created. For that, we need to create a control, a GraphWorX64 viewer control. We open it here, we go to its configuration, Inside the grid, we'll select to be connected to the event subscription only. Now in the columns, we have some columns we don't need for our testing. Now this will be, for example, we don't need the quality. We also don't need the type, and we also don't need the priority. Click here to take over the changes. And one additional thing you might want to see is the seconds whenever the collision happens. So on the advanced, you can scroll down to the grid option and you see that you have a time pattern. Change that to long, and you will get the seconds whenever that happens. So now, if we go into runtime, we'll see first of all a message event telling you that this viewer has successfully connected to the Gen event server, as you can see. And now let's drag our OPC tag and see it hit the wall. You can see at this time what happened is that the collision state was set between the moving ball and the wall. Whenever that is cleared, you'll see that the collision state cleared between moving ball and the wall.